6:30. We have quorum, correct?
Yes, correct. We have quorum.
Well, we are ready to begin. Good evening. My name is Rolando Bonilla. I am the chair of the Planning Commission. Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. This meeting is being held via Zoom conference call due to the COVID-19 crisis. Members of the public may participate by following the instructions listed on the agenda. You may also view and listen to the meeting on live stream cable TV, Granicus, and YouTube. Following roll call during summary of hearing procedures, we will review how the public may provide comment during today's session. Welcome. Roll call. Bonilla, here. Casey.
Here.
Caballero.
Here.
Cantrell.
Here.
Garcia.
Here.
Lardenois.
Here.
Montañez. Montañez. Oliverio.
I'm here.
Perfect. Oliverio. Oliverio. Ornelas Wise.
Here.
Torrance did communicate with me that she will not be attending today's meeting. Commissioner Young. Commissioner Young. Okay, so with that, let the record reflect that Commissioners Oliverio, Young, and Torrance were not present during roll call. We will now move to the summary of hearing procedures.
Michael is on the Zoom. He just, I don't know if he's having issues or what.
All right, so let the record reflect that Commissioner Torrance and Oliverio were not present for roll call. Thank you for that, Commissioner Lardenois. Summary of hearing procedures. The procedure for the hearing is as follows. After the staff report, applicants and appellants may make a 5-minute presentation. City staff will call out names of the public who identified the items they want to speak on. You may identify yourself by the raise hand feature on Zoom, click *9 on your phone, or you may call 408-535-3505 or email planning support staff at sanjoseca.gov and identify your name, phone number, and what item or items you would like to speak on. As your name is called, city staff will unmute you to speak. After we confirm your audio is working, your allotted time will begin. Each speaker will have 2 minutes. Speakers using a translator will have 4 minutes. After the public testimony, the applicant and appellant may make closing remarks for an additional 5 minutes. Planning commissioners may ask questions of the speakers. Response to commissioner questions will not reduce the speaker's time allowance. Staff will unmute the speaker to respond to the commissioner. The public hearing will then be closed and the Planning Commission will take action on the item. The Planning Commission may request staff to respond to the public testimony, ask staff questions, and discuss the item. If you challenge these land use decisions in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at this public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. The Planning Commission's action on rezonings, pre-zonings, general plan amendments, and code amendments is only advisory to the City Council. The City Council will hold public hearings on these items. Section 20.120.400 of the Municipal Code provides the procedures for legal protests to the City Council on rezonings and pre-zonings. The Planning Commission's actions on conditional use permits is appealable to the City Council in accordance with Section 20.100.220 of the Municipal Code. So I know how much you all enjoyed hearing me say that again, but we can now move on to item 1, call to order and orders of the day. Public comment. Staff, do we have any speakers for public item comment on items not on tonight's Planning Commission agenda?
Confirming we have no raised hands and no requests for public comment.
That's great. So we can now move on to item 3, deferrals and removals from calendar. It looks like we have one item that is being removed from the calendar, file number SP 20-005 and T21-0015. Staff, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. This is Sylvia Doe, Planning Division Manager with Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement. As stated in the agenda, we are recommending that this item 3A, file numbers SP 20-005 and T 21-015 be deferred to the August 11th Planning Commission per applicant request. And actually, there has been an updated since this agenda was posted that will reflect in the following Planning Commission agenda. Since then, the applicant has requested this item to be heard on August 25th. And as such, the corresponding city council hearing date would still be requested to be deferred to September 14th. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners on this item?
Can we move for the 25th today, or do we need to move for the 11th and then at that meeting defer it again?
You can move to the 25th.
I'll make a motion to defer this till the 25th.
Second.
All right, so I was going to say, Commissioner Lardenois with the motion to defer for the 25th. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Oliverio is in attendance, as is recorded in his second. So with that, I'll take a roll call vote. Bonilla, aye. Casey?
Aye.
Caballero?
Aye.
Cantrell? Cantrell? You having technical
Sorry,
difficulty?
that mute button. Aye.
I like your artwork, by the way. So you're aye?
Yes. Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Lardenois?
Aye.
Montañez?
Aye.
Oliverio?
Aye.
Ornelas Wise?
Aye.
Torrance is out. Young?
Aye.
Record reflect that the item passes on a vote of 10 commissioners, with Torrance being absent. Okay. All right, staff, there we go, perfect. We can now move on to item 4, consent calendar. Are there any public speakers on items currently on the consent calendar?
Confirming we have no speakers for the consent calendar.
Great.
Motion to approve the consent calendar?
Second.
There you go. Well, Commissioner Caballero with the motion to approve, Commissioner Oliverio with the second. Take a vote. Commissioner Bonilla, aye. Casey?
Aye.
Caballero?
Aye.
Cantrell?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Lardenois?
Aye.
Montañez?
Aye.
Oliverio?
Aye.
Ornelas Wise?
Aye.
Torrance is out. Young?
Aye.
All right. The motion passes with 10 in favor and Commissioner Torrance being absent. You know, this is typically not how these meetings go, right? So there will be more action as we progress. All right. We're now at item 5, public hearing. Staff, you have a presentation?
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This is Sanhita Ghoshal, Project Manager for the Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement Department. This is a conditional use permit request to allow the operation of a gas station that has remained closed since 2006. The project proposes to reconfigure the site for more efficient site circulation, close unused driveways, and provide new lighting and attractive on-site and park strip landscaping that will revitalize this corner of the intersection. This project has been reviewed by staff for conformance with the goals and policies of the general plan and zoning code requirements. In this oral staff report, I'm going to highlight just the main points. The project conforms to the general plan land use designation of neighborhood community commercial because the project would provide convenient retail products and gasoline to motorists and to the surrounding neighborhood and it will provide activity at a vacant and fenced property at a prominent intersection. The project also conforms to the use and development standards of the zoning ordinance. A gasoline service station is a conditional use permit in the CP, Commercial Pedestrian Zoning District, and the proposed retail store is allowed by right in this zoning district. The project meets all height and setback requirements, excepting the front setback of the canopy. The proposed front setback of the canopy is 46 feet in excess of the 10-foot maximum setback required in this zoning district. The zoning ordinance allows the planning director to approve an exception from the maximum front setback under certain circumstances, when certain criteria are met, based on the setbacks of the surrounding buildings and considering the improved site circulation due to the new orientation of the gas station canopy and pumps. Staff recommends that this exception be granted. An initial study and mitigated negative declaration was prepared for the project. The project is not adjacent to any sensitive habitat. The primary environmental issue is related to hazardous materials due to residual soil contamination from previous uses. Mitigation measure to be implemented by the project applicant requires them to work with the County of Santa Clara to address any residual contamination of soil and groundwater. The mitigation measure has been included in the mitigation monitoring and reporting program and in the MND resolution and has been made a part of this project. The primary source of noise from the project operation is associated with the movement of vehicles on the site. Noise exposure from these activities at the nearest residence, which is located across from Kirtner Avenue from the proposed project site, is well under city's threshold, and the project would be required to adhere to zoning ordinance requirements during construction period, and therefore is not expected to have any significant impact related to construction noise or operational noise on nearby residences. No traffic impact has been identified in the environmental analysis. The project scope originally included a 24-hour use and off-sale of alcohol. A community meeting was held in September of 2020 to gather input from the community. The major concerns from the community were with regards to safety, noise, litter, and nuisance. Concerns were also raised due to the location of off-sale alcohol establishment in the area and proximity of this project to a nursery school and a public park. The applicant withdrew these two aspects of the project since then. So no off-sale of alcohol is proposed, and the hours of operation are limited to 6 a.m. to 12 midnight only. In summary, this gas station and the convenience store project would revitalize a 1960s era service station with an aesthetically pleasing and active use. It will bring new services to the neighborhood and has been found to be in conformance with the general plan, zoning, and other city policies. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission considers the project in conformance with the California Environmental Quality Act and approve the conditional use permit. This concludes staff presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have an applicant presentation, that's correct? Staff, are we getting ready for a presentation?
Yes, the applicant.
Yep. Good evening. Sean Anderson here with Barghausen Consulting Engineers. And we'll keep our presentation fairly brief here. Instead, allow the commission to ask any questions of us from the project. But my name's Sean Anderson. I'm the senior planner who's been assisting our client with this project, and would like to just confirm that we have reviewed the staff report, the initial study, and concur with the findings, the mitigations, and the conditions. I'd like to thank staff for their help through the process of reviewing this project. Just in general, as stated in the staff presentation, our client's really excited to see this project move forward. As we know, it's been a project in process for a number of years now, partially due to change in hands of ownership. And as a result, the corner has remained unused for some time. So our client is really excited to see this finally move forward, for this corner to become revitalized and become a functioning service for the community. With me tonight are the property owner, Rosh Salki, and our architecture director, Dan Golwin, who are available to answer any questions that you might have of the project. And that concludes our brief presentation. But if you'd like, as I said, to answer or ask any questions, we're here to answer those.
Thank you. What we'll do now is we'll go straight into public comment. Jen, do we have any public comment on this item?
Yes, we do have one hand raised, Paul Soto. Paul, go ahead and unmute your device and begin to speak.
Good evening. My name is Paul Soto. I'm a lifelong resident of San Jose, raised in the Horseshoe. My comments are centered around process. The recent article that came out from Spotlight highlighted that there are groups of people in the city that, and one of them is Pierre Luigi Oliverio, that this guy and others are creating these groups where they circumvent the democratic process. Nobody knows that these groups are sanctioned in order to inform the planning director, Chris Burton. Okay, so I don't need somebody to tell me what I'm looking at, because I know a con game when I see one. You know, that list right there that they put in Spotlight magazine, the Spotlight newspaper, that it looks like a crime report. These are the people that when the autopsy of San Jose is done in the future, like say 20 to 40 years from now, when they look back at this time, they're going to see right there, that was the cause of death, was that. And so these aren't opinions, these are facts. The process by which this commission here is working with other entities, especially one that has that kind of clout and money, Gary Gillable. This man spent $300 million downtown in a 90-day period. That is unprecedented. That is insane. So to think that this man is not also going to feel like he has ownership over this city, and whatever he wants done is going to get done, and he's going to compromise men like Oliverio in order to get it done, that's what I have a real issue with in terms of this commission.
All right, Jen, moving on. Next, is there another speaker?
Yes, our next speaker is Anna Maria Russo. Anna, go ahead and unmute your device and begin to speak.
Hi, I'm Anna Maria Russo. I am a longtime resident of San Jose as well. I would like to thank the owner for agreeing to not sell alcohol and to not keep it open 24 hours a day. I am, however, disappointed that we are not that it's going to be open till midnight. There are several families that have homes that can see that gas station, and they're young families, and it's disappointing that we feel like we have to keep things open till midnight. I grew up in San Jose. I worked for over 40 years in San Jose, and when I was growing up, gas stations were not open past 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And I seem to be able to get my gas tank full, get to work, and not have an issue my whole life. I'm 62 years old. I think that keeping it open till midnight is a little egregious and not very considerate of the families that live around that gas station. That's it.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comment, Jen?
Confirming that concludes our comments for this item.
Okay, and what I will do now is then I will go back to the applicant to respond to public comment. The floor is now yours to respond to public comment or add anything else you'd like to add for the record.
Okay. I'll respond to the second of the two comments because I'm not sure that the first one was regarding this project, but regarding the hours of operation, it's our client's intent to keep the facility open within those legal hours of operation. Again, it's a neighborhood service use, and it's in their experience that by utilizing those legal hours of operation, that they're able to provide that service to members of the community who may need it at odd hours, service workers that might be getting off late or otherwise. So it's their intent to operate to the maximum of their ability.
Is that you're yielding your time, or that's it?
I mean, there's no other from the public.
Obligation.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
That's
All right.
it.
From there, we will move on to commissioner questions. I see that. Oh, I'm sorry. Arash Salkahi, is that part of your team?
Arash Salki is the owner of the property.
Got it. Arash, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. And first of all, I want to say thank you to everyone for making this time available and the hard work that the team has put together to make this meeting possible. Just to respond on the 24-hour, just the station across the street, which is a Chevron corporate store, is also open till midnight. So I just want to just throw that out there. And we have reduced our hours from 24-hour use to midnight. It's just same as the station across the street. And that's all I wanted to just interject.
Okay. Is that all you'll be commenting?
Yes, sir. For now, unless you have further questions for me.
At this point, we're now going to go to commissioner questions. So you stand by, as they say, you may have some questions. And actually, I see Commissioner Oliverio has his hand up, but before we get to him, I'm going to actually ask staff a question that was prompted by the public comment. Do you have any idea of how many, for example, police service calls are made in regards to that particular gas station? Monthly, weekly, if you have it.
Fair point of order.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna get to you, Commissioner Oliveira. Just a quick question.
May I clarify which gas station? The gas station we're talking about right now is closed currently. Right?
Got it. Okay. That's perfect. Thank you. Commissioner Oliveira, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. I'm reporting from the abandoned gas station since 2006. And I think in any neighborhood or any community, you can see that an abandoned building like this is not good for the neighborhood. It's had 3 property owners over the years, and glad to see finally someone buy it who's in the gas station business. I certainly support staff's recommendation. This planning commission actually approved the hours across the street of the Chevron station till midnight. And we've done this in various other council districts across the city. So I'd simply like to make a motion to approve, and hopefully the applicant may hopefully be open by end of the year.
Second.
Great. All right. So we've got a motion in the second, but I do want to make sure we speak. I know we get into this habit of kind of rapid motion, rapid second, but I'm going to still make sure everyone speaks. So Commissioner Cantrell and then Commissioner Ornelas Weiss, the floor is yours. Commissioner Cantrell.
Just a few questions, actually. The current owner of the property, was this the owner who actually removed trees and did work on the garage buildings?
This is Sanita Ghoshal, project manager again. The work that was done on the garage was by the previous owner, and the trees were removed in 2020 when the current owner was the owner of the property.
The current owner received the property when?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
When did the current owner take possession of the property?
Application was updated in September of 2019 with ownership documents by the
Okay.
current owner.
Okay, so I'm just trying to clarify a couple of points. Was the current owner of this property responsible for the removal of the trees and moving forward with construction without approval? Yes or no?
So the current owner was the owner, but the construction happened before the owner took possession. This owner took possession.
I think we missed you, the first part of your response. I suspect it has to do with the trees.
So the trees are removed in 2020, January of 2020, I think. That is when this current owner was the owner of the property. But the
Okay.
garage,
Okay, so the fuel tanks were installed by the previous owner.
yes,
The construction work was done by the previous owner. The current owner removed the trees. Were these the inconsequential trees or the one tree that was under ordinance?
out of the 8 trees that were removed, 1 was ordinance sized and the other ones were not ordinance sized.
Okay, so question for the owner. Why did you remove the tree without seeking approval first?
Am I on mute?
No, we hear you.
Okay. The tree was a completely misunderstanding. I took over the property and I believe I got letters from, and I can't recall the person's name, the council of that area asking me to cut down the weeds, get rid of the graffiti and clean up the property. And I first, to be very frank, was not very, I didn't really want to move forward because I really wanted to make sure that this project was going to move forward. But they asked me, Arash, please, we got to get this property cleaned out. I sent a landscaper out there to go clean the lot, and there was a completely misunderstanding of what definition of cleaning the lot and cutting down trees. So I own it. I accept it. This is a property that has been, it's been fenced. I bought this property a little over 2.5 years ago. I maybe go down there maybe once every 6 months now because of the current condition. But regarding the trees, I own it. I do take full responsibility. That was not the intent. The intent was to take down all the weeds and keep the lot clean and to satisfy, being a good neighbor.
Okay. One question for staff. The buildings that were changed in use and the development work was done on, does that work meet all the city requirements, including ADA requirements, fire and safety?
So after this is Sanhita Ghoshal, planning project manager. After the planning permit is approved, the applicant will have to obtain building permit to legalize all of that work. And at that time, they would have to provide all the documentation.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate both of your time.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Ornelas Wise.
Let me unmute myself. Can you hear me now?
We hear you.
Okay, so I looked at the plans and one of the questions that I had maybe for staff was the rear setback of the existing building. It may be the side setback, the rear of the building. It seemed kind of a really small setback. And I wanted to know what was on the other side of that building since it's such close proximity.
Sure. So first of all, this building is an existing building and no change is being made as part of this approval. On one side of the property is a public park, and on the other side of the property is another commercial building. I can share my screen and look at a aerial photograph if you want to see that.
My only concern with that small setback there is just, I don't want, obviously, to have an invitation for crime in such a small like area behind the building. I know it's existing, so they're not going to be encroaching any more into the setback, but I just, I'd almost encourage, you know, either some fencing there or some additional lighting there just to prevent someone from going in the back and creating some sort of crime or doing drugs or anything like that. So that's just what I'd encourage. I don't know if, I think that it would be wise for the owners to do something like that. Just another comment. I'm really impressed with the landscaping. I just wanted to know, Sanjita, if there was any post-approval monitoring for any of the landscaping. I've seen a lot of other gas stations that maybe at one time had really nice landscaping. And then like, I don't know, 10, 15 years later, that landscaping is deteriorating or is not cared for at all. So I just, I see that he has a really aggressive land and beautiful landscaping both on and on the street there, which will beautify the neighborhood, which is great. But I just want to make sure that it stays intact. And I know that there's probably some irrigation plan, but I'm just thinking, I don't know, if you have any post-approval, way to monitor that stays intact. Can you respond to that?
Yes, thank you, Sylvia. There is a condition in the permit that requires the applicant to ensure that the landscaping is maintained. We do not monitor this condition per se, but they are legally bound to be meeting all the conditions of the permit, and this is one of them.
Okay, perfect. And
this is Michael. If I could just
go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to add to that. Yeah. So if let's say that, I'm not saying that the owner on this call would do this, but let's just say down the road, for whatever reason, change of ownership, whatever, the landscaping is not maintained. The vehicle for bringing the landscaping back into maintenance consistent with the CUP that Sanjita is talking about would be through code enforcement. So it'd be a case of someone from the public contacting code enforcement and saying, hey, the landscaping's really shabby, and then it would be through a code compliance effort that landscaping would be brought up to the conditional use permit requirements you're considering this evening.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael. Commissioner Ornelas, do you have more questions? Or
I have one more thing. I did see that this place has been closed for quite so many years, and it looks like that the applicant in many cases has got stuck in the planning process, in the planning approval process or permitting process. So I'd really encourage staff to do some hand holding and to ensure that this project is complete, to ensure that it successfully opens. So just to know, because obviously I did look at some of the letters that some of the neighbors had submitted, including some photos that showed the graffiti there. And so that's just what I'd like to encourage staff to do, a little bit of hand holding with the applicant to ensure that they complete the project successfully. So that's all I have to say. Thank you. But good presentation, Sanjita. Thank you.
thank you, Commissioner Garcia.
So I had questions and I was writing them down, but I came up with my own answers, and there's really nothing I like about this application. The previous owner and the current owner have a pattern of circumventing the process, the planning department, the code enforcement. When you look at the write-up, the previous owner had applied for a conditional use permit to convert the auto repair to retail use. And then in 2012, they pulled a building permit for the convenience store to expand it. They stopped the inspection process, but it doesn't look like they stopped to the construction process. So they basically completed the store without getting a final, which allowed them to not get reassessed for a higher property taxes and continued about their business until they shut it down, right? So you know, they have a pattern of basically getting around the system and profiting from it. I don't think the current owner didn't realize he needed a permit to knock down 9 trees. I don't think the previous owner didn't realize that stopping the inspection process was only beneficial to him or them. And I just, I don't see any buildings or land use in the Envision 2040 plan that takes a half acre of prime real estate and puts gas stations on it. We have to look at it as though there's nothing there. The fact that if the previous owner was operating a gas station and was circumventing the rules with in many ways, doesn't mean that we should grandfather it in and dedicate or allow a half an acre to be rebuilt by a gas station. What is the best use of this land? And does it fit the Envision 2040 plan? I don't see that it does. And I don't agree with this at all. I don't like it.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. We've got Lardenois, Oliverio, and then Young. Lardenois.
I guess in response to the last comments, I don't know if there's really anything. I don't know if we should consider that the previous owner of the property, broke rules, because that's not who's doing this application. I guess I'll have a question for staff. I mean, what is typically the remediation when a property owner does something like remove a tree without approval? Can you just clarify that?
Yes, thank you. This is Sanhita Ghoshal again, planning project manager. They are the applicant is required to replace the trees according to the tree replacement ratio standard of the planning department. But when trees are removed without permits, then that ratio becomes double. So they have to replace double the number of trees. So the staff report does have the details of how many trees they require, how many trees they need to be replaced. They cannot accommodate all of those trees on their site, so they are paying fees for the. Take a look at the number, but for I think 19 trees that they cannot accommodate on their site. So they're basically replacing at a double ratio, that is double the regular replacement ratio.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that.
Great. Oliverio?
Thank you. Yes, I agree with Commissioner Lardenois that the mistakes or infractions or sins, whatever you want to classify it as, the prior property owner shouldn't be held to the existing property owner. For the commissioner that asked the question about the fence, there's actually a wall already there. And so that's already in place. So thank you.
Commissioner Oliveira, I appreciate you bringing us some real time from the site. We may want to do this more often.
Reporting to you live.
Exactly.
I mean, it just shows the extreme blight. And Commissioner, from different parts of San Jose are stricken with terrible blight, and to think that this neighborhood or any neighborhood in San Jose should suffer from an empty lot for 14 to 15 years is just ridiculous.
Understood, and I appreciate you bringing it to us live and direct. Absolutely. Commissioner Young.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate Commissioner Oliverio being on site. You can see how blighted it is. This piece of property is on a very highly visible area, kind of on the boundary of District 9 and 6 on Kirtner and Lincoln. And from my time on the Neighborhoods Commission, I can tell you all that residents have been up in arms about this property for years, and rightfully so. I don't think anywhere in the city we would want a piece of property like this to sit in this condition. I agree with the previous speakers that I don't see that it makes any sense to hold this applicant responsible for the prior property owner. I think the applicant has explained what happened with the one tree that was removed. He had a miscommunication with the landscaping company. He said he's taken responsibility for it. And as staff has said, I think he has to provide fees, penalty fees, in addition to a large amount of trees that he's planting. So, and the owner of the property, in my opinion, has the right to replace a gas station with a gas station. And so for us to say, well, we'd rather see it be something else, I don't think that's reasonable. And I know that the residents of the area would like the project to move forward as quickly as possible, as Commissioner Olivero has said. So thank you.
Commissioner Garcia, I see that your hand is up. Is it up again, or is it still up from previous? Same with you, Commissioner Oliverio.
My apologies. I'll take it down.
That's okay. Garcia, you as well? Or
No, what I would like to clarify that I'm not in the spirit of being punitive from the circumvention of, of the process. What I am saying is that I don't like that aspect of it, but further, but more than that, it's a half an acre that we're dedicating to a gas station. Aren't we trying to make these communities greener and have less parking and more housing and more affordable housing instead of a half acre gas station? It doesn't align with our general plan or our Vision 2040 plan. So those are my thoughts.
thank you. Commissioner Montañez.
Hi, Ms. Casal. I have a question with respect to the gas station losing its legal non-conforming status. Can you walk us through the history? And then can you educate me on whether we have to put a gas, or we can allow a gas station just because the gas station already existed there? Or are we going through a process that we're going to allow for something that lost its legal non-conforming status, and we're going to go through the process to establish that gas station in a site that may or may not, I mean, you need to educate me on this, may or may not be permitted unless we give it certain conditional uses?
Staff, that's a question for you. And I do want to recognize Michael, you're next.
Sure, this is Sanhita Ghoshal again, Planning Project Manager. The original gas station was a legal non-conforming gas station that was at the site from the 1960s. That gas station closed in 2006 and never reopened, and it has lost its legal non-conforming status. So the proposal today is for a new gas station. Just it happens to be that the site was built as a gas station. So, there was the canopy and all the things are remaining on the site. But there is no legal non-conforming use that is being reinstated here. This is a new gas station. And to your question about whether we are going to approve a gas station or not, the proposal is for a gas station. I just want to say that that's how the project has come in front of us. Does that answer your question?
And the reason, so we would have to give it these, we're giving the structure a required, like we have to designate it a certain, it's legal, it was legal non-conforming in the past. It closed down. It was no longer, just because it existed there, it should exist there. Is there anything that says that just because it was a gas station, we need to allow for it to be a gas station at this point?
We are not reinstating the legal non-conforming status, so no, we do not have to approve a gas station here.
Just to clarify, just to clarify Sanhita's, I appreciate Sanhita's comments, but gas stations are permitted with the conditional use permit by the zoning ordinance for the zoning. So it is allowed with the conditional use permit.
Correct.
So just want to clarify that.
Thank you. Commissioner Montañez, does that
Thank you.
answer your questions?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And I know, Michael, thank you. You've been patiently holding your virtual hand up.
Yeah, so I just want to sort of add to what Sanhita and Patrick are saying. By the way, I'm your secretary tonight. I don't think I've met many of you because in the Planning Commission Introduction 101, I was in Cincinnati, so I wasn't there. But I tag team with Robert Manford and being your secretary, and I'll meet you sometime in person. But I'm giving you a virtual hello tonight. So the other thing is, there may be different opinions about how the city should use, I guess, as a half-acre site like this on this location. But I just want to make it clear that the general plan designation is neighborhood community commercial. Gas stations, just like they are allowed in the zoning district as a conditional use permit, this is the type of use that's allowed in the general plan at this location. So as Sanhita, I think, and it says in the staff report, this project is consistent with the general plan land use designation for the site, and it is allowed use with a conditional use permit in the zoning district. So I think you need to keep it in mind that it is consistent with the general plan and the vision for the general plan. You may have different opinions about whether the gas station is the appropriate use, but the general plan say it is an allowed supported use at this location. I just want to make that clear.
Michael, thank you for that. I think we've asked questions, and Commissioner Montañez, I see your hand up. Is it still up or is it a new up?
Actually, I have another question. With respect to the trash receptacle, is that covered or is it uncovered?
It is covered.
It is covered. Okay, thank you.
Great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to call Commissioner Cantrell.
Okay, sorry, just one final question. I just want to be certain of one thing.
Go ahead.
The current legal entity that owns this property is in no way related to the previous legal entity that was responsible for lots of issues. Is that true or not true?
Does anyone have an answer for that question?
Arash, you're on mute.
That is correct. I am a new owner. I have no affiliate. I bought it from a third party through a broker, and it actually a very significant number that is being assessed. It's being assessed at $4.5 million just for the real property. So the assessed value has dramatically changed since the previous owner.
Okay. No, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Of course.
Okay. So with that, we have a motion and a second on the floor. A motion from Commissioner Oliverio, a second from Commissioner Casey. Commissioner Oliverio, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, Chair, but also I'd like to comment that the first speaker actually had nothing to say about the existing agenda item. And I think in the future, if speakers are not talking about the actual item, that they should be tasked to speak on the item. But I do appreciate the comments from Mrs. Russo and how she's ecstatic that they will not be selling beer and wine. Thank you.
You, Commissioner Casey, would you like to speak to your second?
No, thank you.
All right. So with that, we will take a roll call vote. Bonilla, aye. Casey.
Aye.
Caballero.
Aye.
Cantrell.
Aye.
Garcia.
I'm against it. No.
No. Okay. Lardenois.
Aye.
Montañez.
No.
Oliverio.
Aye.
Ornelas Wise.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
All right. The motion passes. 8 in favor, 2 against, and Torrance absent. Staff, if you could bring up the vote. Okay, moving on to item 6. Referrals from city council, boards, commissions, or other agency staff. Do we have any referrals from any of those bodies?
None. So no.
No. Okay, perfect. We move on to item 7, good and welfare. 7A, report from the city council. Staff, is there a report from the city council?
There is, I don't think, yes, there's the June 29th council meeting, which I don't think you've had a report out on yet. So let me just bring it up really quick. Give me a second. To find what I did with it. 1 second, please. Here it is. Okay. So there was actually a lot on the agenda on the 29th. The first thing that the council considered was the alum, which you guys didn't hear this, but there's San Jose State students and community university did a community vision and community priorities exercise with the Alum Rock community along that corridor. It's called the Community Priorities for Alum Rock Corridor Report. The council considered accepting that report as the community's desires and vision for the Alum Rock Corridor. And we recommended they accept it, and the council did accept it. So it's been accepted to sort of guide staff, developers, and the community with future work and planning efforts and desires for future development proposals on Alum Rock Corridor. It's not a binding approved document, but it's more sort of acknowledging, accepting the community's vision of what they like to see along there. There also is a conforming rezoning at 5,000 Mitty Way. That was approved. There was a conditional use permit and a straight zoning and a conditional use permit. A conforming rezoning and site development permit for a property at Story Road and South Jackson Avenue. That was deferred by the council. And I don't have background on why it was deferred. Maybe one of my colleagues can comment on that. There also was a city-initiated zoning district to add additional criteria for issuance of a conditional use permit for pawn shops. That was brought to the council at the direction of the Rules Committee. Planning Commission, if you remember, recommended denying staff's recommendation, and the council did in fact deny approval of that ordinance. So it did not go into effect, and nothing is changing in regards to the process for pawn shops. There was a general plan amendment and a site permit for a property on Waz Way. I believe this is Boston Properties, 1.85 million square feet of office of commercial. That was approved by the council. And of course, the big item for the night, at least for me and some of my teammates, was the Berryessa-Bart Urban Village Plan and the flea market rezoning. That had gone to council on the 22nd. It was continued to the 29th to allow for more negotiation between the council offices and the property owner. They both were unanimously approved by the council, the Berryessa-Bart Urban Village Plan and the flea market rezoning. It's very complex about what ultimately got approved, but essentially they established sort of procedures and rules for how an advisory group would be established to sort of guide the process to transition the flea market to a more urban market. The property owner increased the contribution towards that process from $2.5 million to $5 million. And there was more sort of rules about the process moving forward with PD permits and how the flea market would move forward. Vera was there if you have any more specific details on it. I was in Cincinnati that night, unfortunately, because I wish I was there. That
yeah, I do, but I can take my hand down here and just comment that final adoption of the flea market rezoning is scheduled for the August 3rd council meeting. And there is a memorandum from our office explaining the council action in detail so that staff and everyone else knows exactly what the council action was at the June 22nd, continued June 23rd meeting, and then continued again on June 29th with the vote that the unanimous vote to approve. So if the commissioners are interested in seeing what the council action was, there is a memo or will be a memo posted for August 3rd. I don't know if I think the clerk has already posted it, but I'm not sure. But just take a look at that agenda once it posts publicly and you will see the memo.
And that concludes the council report back on June 29th.
Thank you. We will now move to item 7B, subcommittee formation reports and outstanding business. Any items to report there? Seeing none, we will move over to item 7C, Commission Calendar and Study Session. C1, Study Session on Small Business Displacement for August 11th, 2021. Does staff want to elaborate on that?
I don't have any more information on that. If you have questions, we can bring them back next time. But that is the next time, isn't it? So I don't have any information. I've been actually out of the office.
We can always email colleagues. We can always email staff if we have any specific questions prior to the meeting. Okay, with that, we will now go to the public record. Does anyone want to add anything for the public record? I'm not seeing anything. So with that, have a great night, everyone.